Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to my stock channel. This is James with another stock update. We're checking out the banking potential crisis. So we're going to analyze some of America's top banks, see how their balance sheets compare to each other, look for little anomalies that might give us a clue. This one's on Bank of America. BAC is the ticker symbol, trading today at $30.27. They had a one-day down day of 0.88%. Little fear of exposure, perhaps, but not much. It didn't go down after hours, particularly. That's good news. Wells Fargo actually went up on this day. Citigroup went down just a hair. Bank of America looks like they went down just a hair. Their 5-day chart is down 11%. Looks more like a train wreck, like everyone knew it was coming. And 6 months, down 10%. 1 year, down 26%. Ouch. 5-year, looking like a pretty stable company overall. Some good times and some bad times. Hopefully a nice dividend. And Max, this is the heart of the company. This was right before the 2008 banking crisis. I like going back that far sometimes. It's fun. Market cap on this company, $242 billion. They are about 25% of the size of Citigroup. So they are not as big. Let's see what their income statement looks like. We've been looking in particular at this anomalies going on here. 2022 for every bank was a bad year with revenue. The reason is they told everybody they didn't have to make their house payments. They told everybody they didn't have to make the rent payments, apartment payments they didn't have to make, and banks weren't allowed to do nothing about it for a while. 2020 affected, there's a very similar result to Citibank. You have still a lot of people paying you, which is surprising for COVID. Wells Fargo was only able to capture about half this. It went way down, like boom, like nobody paid you. And then it went bouncing, springboarding right back up again. One thing I would like to note with this one compared to Citigroup and compared to Wells Fargo, the revenue for 2022 was $92 million. The revenue for 2021 was $93 billion. They did not collapse revenue. They, for the most part, 31 billion versus 27.5 billion. For the most part, they didn't collapse that much profit. This to me is a sign that the people they loaned their money to are making the payments on that loan. The banking business is very stable. In this case, let's see how many loans they have outstanding. Whoa, we went too far. Yeah, with banking businesses, you see the blue is the assets and the yellow is the liabilities. You see a very strong consistency between the two lines. They run in sync with each other. One is the note, one is the money that they loaned. These people have $3 trillion out there. Ooh. So their market cap is worth 25% of Citigroup's, but they've got more money loaned than Citigroup. Huh. That could be very interesting. I don't see any drops year over year on their balance sheet on assets or liabilities, which is exactly how Sun Valley Bank looked last year compared to the one before that. I see a growth of revenue. I see them making a bunch of loans in 2020. The loan portfolio grew up quite healthily. We went from a less than 2.5 trillion company to a 3 trillion in loans. So this is when they were loaning their money. Recently, a big surge in loans. I don't know if this was a good time for a big surge in loans. Maybe this was the last of the housing boom. They got in on it better than the other companies. Whatever it was, this increase in loaning people money, they did more of it than the other guys. The other ones didn't grow up so fast. That might increase the risk on this one a little bit. But it doesn't look like people are missing their payments. It doesn't look like the money's getting lost. Huh. Very interesting. Let's see how much cash they have on hand. $725 billion. Yeah, they almost have $1 trillion. They have $3 trillion in loans outstanding. So it's a much different ratio than Citigroup and Wells Fargo had. You'll notice that their cash isn't in proportion to the loans that they have nearly as much as the other two. I don't know whether that's significant or what that might mean later. I guess it means if the loans go bust, there's not enough cash to cover it. So let's hope the loans don't go bust. They don't look like they're going bust so far. Citigroup and Wells Fargo has a revenue collapse year over year here. This one does not. Last thing we're going to check is exposure to variable rates. Did they go to the Fed and borrow a bunch of money on a variable rate thinking they were smart a few years ago? Wall Street banks, including JP Morgan and Bank of America, see $558 billion value wipeout. What the hell? Oh, that was just one day off their market value in a single day. For the biggest banks, we lost a combined $55 billion. They're just adding everything up from Thursday, the Silicon Valley start date of the crisis. That's not really newsworthy. We already knew that happened. Oh, hang on a second. Let me check this. Wow, that took me a lot of time, a lot of research there. Bank of America, I guess, has chosen not to tell us. They're not coming out with an announcement that's saying we're not exposed to variable rates. They're not coming out with an article saying we have no relationship with Silicon Valley Bank or we're not going to suffer the same fate as them. Very common sense, and some banks already have. Wells Fargo came out immediately and issued like 5 press reports that said, look, we have nothing going on like they do. We're not exposed to variable rates. We're not having these problems. It doesn't mean that they're going to tell you the truth on the issue, but at least they said something. Bank of America and Citigroup have absolutely said nothing. They've just decided it'd be more prudent to keep their mouth shut right now. I find that a little disturbing since it disgruntles the stockholder completely. Everybody's scared to buy into banks right now. You think this is the one thing that they could tell you that would put your mind at ease, and they're not telling you. So for depositors' sake, for stock investors' sake, Bank of America, please come out and tell the world that you don't have this problem. Until you do, you're going to be on our suspect list. I like your balance sheet. I don't like the fact that you made so many loans so quick. Your balance sheet grew up really fast. I'm sorry. Yeah, your balance sheet grew up really fast. You went, hello, we're huge. You did it right at the peak of the housing boom. You lent top dollar for all of this. You've got a big balance sheet. I don't know. Maybe you loan too much on those houses. Maybe that'll be your problem. I don't know how bad the recession or the economy or the banking crisis or, people lose all their money. They can't make their house payment. Next thing you know, it's related to this bank. So, everyone that banks with everyone that freezes or has issues, all the other banks are going to collect less money because people don't have it anymore to pay their loans. Oh, I shouldn't laugh. It's just so crazy that this would all happen. But Bank of America, a good income statement, no drop off on loan payments. However, I do not like the fact that they went loan crazy starting in 2019, loaning like it was hotcakes. This was not a good time for it. And they did it through 2022, but just a little bit less. And what I like about them is their revenue didn't fall off. The stock price seems to be, well, their cash on hand seems to be insufficient for the number of loans that they have. They have $725 billion in cash. They have $3 trillion in loans outstanding. They got 3 times more loans than they do cash. I don't know how that happens. If they had laws against that require them to hold a certain percentage of their loans, but maybe they're overseas with some of this stuff. Bank of America, who knows? Maybe they're Bank of everywhere. But yeah, that's the scoop. Bank of America income statement looks healthier than the others. Balance sheet looks a little bit more like they got excited before and during after COVID, making a lot more loans. Was that a riskier period? Was everything more expensive then? Perhaps. It's all going to depend on a housing crisis, probably, and if people continue making their monthly payments. We know that commercial businesses are having, they're closing hand over fist. There should be a revenue drop here from something, from cars. People aren't making their car payment. We know that. People aren't making their commercial real estate business. We know that. Bank of America, not exposed to any of it so far. So for this reason, I like Bank of America better than the others. The price per earnings ratio is a modest 9, which is much better than Wells Fargo and Citibank. I don't know if you're going to pick one, and if you think we're not going to have a housing crash, or at least if we do, you know that those people got darn good rates on those houses, even if it does crash. They're never going to be able to replace that rate, not for a very long time. Are these people going to let their houses go this time? I don't think so. I am going to declare Bank of America safer than the other ones that we looked at. That's my stock review on Bank of America. I wouldn't buy it yet. I would let it fester in the crash and the fear of the crash for a few more weeks at least. If we make it through a couple of months without any more banks going under, then maybe become a buyer if the price is right. Bank of America, everybody, with a dividend of 3% almost. So yeah, that dividend could be puckering up if we have a couple of bad days here. Maybe a good idea to get in on it. But I don't know, a lot of fear in the market. I'm scared of banks, but maybe you're not. So I wanted to just show you a few comparative videos. We're going to move on to another huge bank next. What's it going to be? Like the video, please. When you like the video, it boosts it up in YouTube for me and more people can see it. I love that. That makes my day. If you subscribe to my channel also, I would love you, and keep you updated with your favorite stocks. For everything from penny stocks to big stocks. We look at the balance sheets real quick. It's very unbiased. I'm not paid to promote anything, and it seems like everybody else is. So I'm just having fun over here looking for stocks for myself, kind of show you how I do it. I look for real companies that really make money, that aren't in peril, and obviously I'm providing a good public service here also by showing you guys the banks and some of the alternatives to being in certain parts of the stock market that might be helpful during a recession. Trying to help. We're going to get back to everybody's favorites as well, but I wanted to cover the banking sector. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you on the next video.